being a good listener isn't easy. A lot of the times we are just kind of on hold waiting for the next thing we can say. That's not being a good listener. That's looking to be heard yourself. Sometimes you want to have a witty remark. That's not being a good listener either. And for the longest time for me, the problem I had was that even though I was attempting to be a good listener, I was trying to solve the problem that I was being shown. And that's a particular characteristic amongst many masculine individuals. They think of themselves as problem solvers. And some of us are. You look at my crafting videos, I solve problems as fun, as a hobby. I solve problems here on my channel. I wrestle with topics. I try to find solutions for myself and maybe for other people. I try to work around things and through things. And when I find myself stymied, I try to go off in new directions or seek advice from somebody else so I can come at something from a different angle and maybe I can solve the problem. But if somebody wants to be listened to, they don't necessarily want your help to solve the problem. Because a lot of the time, and this is something you see a lot of in the dynamic that women have with each other, they just want to be listened to. That's it. They want to share, and they are not looking for a solution. So for a long time, I was a really crappy listener. But I learned over time, to the point now, that when particularly a woman is speaking to me, I can't always tell whether they want a listener or they want a problem solver. So I tackle that problem by just asking. Are you looking for a sympathetic ear? Or are you looking for somebody maybe to help you find a solution? And if they say they're looking for a sympathetic ear, here is the most important thing you can conceivably do in that moment. Shut up. Don't say anything other than, I'm listening. And then do it. If they say they're looking for a problem solve, to be this solution to the problem, then have at it. And if they tell you at a certain point in the conversation they'd like your help, then have at it. But if they don't ever ask for your help, stay quiet. And don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your heart. Because what this person is telling you could be really difficult for them to say. Honor their words with your attention and your silence. Honor them. I told my therapist about this, about the fact that my wife, that was a point of contention we would have sometimes when I was trying to be a good listener and I was failing, and I said, now I just ask. I said, you're looking for, a sympathetic ear, or you're looking for a solution. And he chuckled and he said, that's why you're a good listener. Because my wife has told me that since we got past that problem. And even though I am listening intently, part of my brain is still trying to solve that problem. But that's my anxiety talking. The part of my brain that can't ever not function. Part of my brain that can't ever not try to find a solution, because when I was growing up, if you didn't have a solution immediately, If you were lucky, you just got yelled at. And if you were unlucky, you got hit. You always had to have a solution. You had to have a solution to every single conceivable problem there was. You had to be fucking Batman. Of course, it made no sense. Nothing you came up with was going to be any good. You were dealing, in my case, with a psychotic drunk. No solution was going to work. But you convinced yourself it would. Because you were desperately looking for a pattern in something that there wasn't one. Dealing with an alcoholic is worse than true chaos. Because in a truly chaotic system, there will be nodes of order. Simply because in a truly chaotic system, things will eventually just click together and stick. They will create little nodes of order just because the chaos will produce them. But it's worse than that with the drunk. Because it makes the sense only to them. It follows a set of rules only they know. And so you always try to find a solution, and there isn't one. And that plagued me as an adult, because every time I tried to be a good listener, I was trying to find that solution. The reality is sometimes there isn't one. Sometimes there's advice. Sometimes you can say, okay, I am at a loss. Maybe you should talk to a professional, particularly if the person who is asking you to listen is telling you the same thing over and over again in different variations. If you are seeing that same pattern, they're stuck. So suggest they go see a professional. And with every person, it's going to be a different level of suggestion. It can be really overt, or sometimes you really kind of have to kind of go around the edges and just kind of herd them in the right direction, and hopefully eventually they'll arrive at that conclusion. Because if you push too hard, you will fail. You will not help them get the help they need. When I finally got around to going into therapy, and it really stuck, and I was on my fourth or fifth therapist, I think. I was talking to my friend Greg. He said, "Yeah, I told you to do this, 20 years ago," and he did. He did. He did in fact tell me 20 years before to go see, a cognitive behavior therapist. And I got really angry. And I said, "Greg, I wasn't ready." And if I'd gone, I would have resisted so much it would have failed, and then I would have been more convinced than ever that it wouldn't work. I had to be in the right place. I had to make the decision that I needed the help before the help would work. In the meantime, what you can do is be a good listener. And maybe your friend just needs someone to listen, and they're stuck. They just need to work a few things out, and saying it out loud might help them. If we're in a good state of mental health, or at least a decent one, we can do that. Just the act of saying stuff out loud will sometimes help us understand it in a way we didn't understand it when it was all stuck in here. When you have that sympathetic ear, that frees you up in a certain way. So be a good listener. Listen with your ears and your heart. Offer a solution if you think you have one. But if they don't want it, shut up and listen. You'll be a better friend, and you may help save somebody's life.